everyone. My name is Jonas, and today I will present RDepot, which is an open source application to manage R and Python repositories. First, a little bit about myself. I am a software engineer at OpenAnalytics. OpenAnalytics is a data science consultancy company based in Antwerp, Belgium, but with customers all over the world. And RDepot is one of the first open source projects that we developed, and I've been part of the development team since around 2012. First, I'll talk about what RDepot is, what it does, how it looks like. Then I'll talk about some notable changes in version 2. I'll also cover some new features in version 2.7, and then we can have some questions answered if you have any. What is RDepot? RDepot is a solution for managing R and Python package repositories in an enterprise environment. So it allows users submitting packages through a web UI or an API and to automatically update and publish those R and Python repositories. So when I say an enterprise context, I mean that multiple departments, for example, can manage their own repositories, and different users can have different roles in managing their packages. So if you combine that with continuous integration infrastructure, for example, for quality assurance on R and Python packages, then package uploads can be automated. All of the configuration can be done declaratively, and RDepot can even be set up as infrastructure as code, which is especially relevant in regulated contexts, such as pharmaceutical companies, since it makes validation activities much easier. Another feature is that packages from publicly available R repositories such as CRAN and Bioconductor can be mirrored selectively into custom repositories, and you can use that to host them behind a firewall or in internal networks and offline environments. RDepot can even be combined with another open source product that we develop at OpenAnalytics called CRAN. And using CRAN, we can even have authentication and fine-grained authorization using OpenID Connect. And this can be configured per repository, which allows you to configure additional security when dealing with sensitive data or sensitive methodologies. You can find all of this information and documentation on our website, which is rdepot.io. So let's walk through the different screens in the RDepot UI. The first one is for creating repositories. So the repository can have a name. It can have a publication URI, which is the URI where users can use to install the packages from. Then there's the server address, which is the URI that is used for internal RDepot traffic. So this is used for the manager app to communicate with the repository API. And then finally, we can choose a technology. By default it is R, but of course we also support Python packages. After creation, this will be the screen that you land upon. So this is the list of existing repositories. You can see the name in the left-hand column, then the publication URI, the server address, the technology of the repository. Then we also give a version number to the repository, which will be updated on every change to the repository. The number of packages, whether the repository has been published or not. By default, it will not be. So you need to manually publish it once, and then of course it will stay published. Let's continue. As I mentioned at the start, repositories can be managed declaratively using just configuration. So this is done using YAML files, and here you can see two example YAML files. One is for a public repository which doesn't have any authentication on it, and the bottom one is for an internal repository which does have authentication on it. So here the same properties as in the UI can be configured, and every repository needs to have their own configuration file. So for example, these two repositories each have their own YAML configuration file with those properties. Now, you can also mirror or synchronize packages from a remote repository. So in this case, we have one mirror. So this is the R mirror repository with the publication URI and server address. And then we define one or more mirrors where we can synchronize packages from. So in this case, we are synchronizing with CRAN at 5 o'clock every day, and then we supply a list of packages. So in this case, we only synchronize ggplot2, and in this case, a specific version, so only version 3.3.2. And then we are also synchronizing plotly, and since we don't specify a version, this will always take the latest version. So then we can upload packages manually as well. So this is done using the web UI. So you go to the form, you select the repository, you select the files that you want to upload. In this case, there are 3 files. Then you submit them, which will upload them. And in the end, we have a summary which suggests whether the package has been uploaded successfully or not. Before we continue, let's first talk about roles. So roles in RDepot are the following. First of all, there's the guest role, which is an anonymous user, and they can download and install packages from public repositories using the publication URI. Then we have regular users. They can submit packages for review. They can also view any uploaded packages and existing repositories. Then there's a role called package maintainer. So the package maintainer maintains select packages based on the name of the package, and so they can submit packages which they maintain without needing a review. So whenever a user submits a package, their upload is due for review, so only then can it be approved or rejected. But a package maintainer which manages certain packages can upload those without the review process. And they can then also review those packages from other users. Then we have the repository maintainer. They can also submit select packages into the repositories that they maintain without the review. They can also review those package submissions by other users, and they can manage package maintainers for the repositories that they maintain. So they can add or remove package maintainers for their repositories. Then finally, there's the administrator role, which can do all of the above and some user management as well. So now that we have a view on the roles, we can go to the submissions screen. So here you can see all of the submissions that have been done. So whenever a user uploads a package, this is handled as a submission. If the user is a regular user, then the package will not be available directly, so the package needs to be reviewed first, and this is the page to review those submissions. As you can see in the actions column on the right, we can approve, reject, or download the submission. Users can also attach notes to submissions, for example, to specify any changes or any feedback to the package maintainer, for example. And in the other rows, you can see that those submissions have already been approved. And if the package has been submitted by either a package, a repository maintainer, or an administrator, those packages will be approved automatically without a reviewer needing to review. Then in the packages view, you can see the uploaded packages. So here you can see the package name, the version, the title, and the description if it has any. You can also see the maintainer, which is the internal maintainer within RDepot. So for example, if test user is a package maintainer of A3, then they will be in the column of maintainer. Then also the repository into which the package was uploaded, the technology, whether it is an R or a Python package, and then we also support binary packages, so the type will be either source or binary. The status of the package, which will be either approved or rejected, and then whether it's active or not. You can see details of a specific package by clicking on that package, and that will take you to the package details page. So this will list the R package metadata, for example, the system requirements, the dependencies, and any other of those properties part of the R description file. Users can also see how to install packages, so the installation command is shown there, which can be copied to the clipboard. The description can be viewed in full, and then we also show some additional metadata like the author of the package, the user that submitted the package to RDepot, the user that, or the maintainer that approved the package into RDepot, and then the maintainer within RDepot. So packages can be installed using the regular install.packages command, and you can see how that works here. So it's just the package name, and then we specify RDepot as an additional repository in the repos argument. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we also allow users to use CRAN as the web server, which has a feature to enable authentication on the repository side. So that means that users can install packages from repositories using authentication. So in this animation here, you can see we are launching R. We are trying to install a certain package which requires authentication and authorization using OpenID Connect. And after that has been done, the installation procedure continues, either successfully if the user is authorized to install the package, or unsuccessfully if they don't have the correct permissions. So this is done using CRAN. You can view more information on CRAN and the documentation at cranserver.net. Basically, CRAN is a hook that is launched whenever you use the install.packages command and a CRAN server is met during downloading the package. So to use this install packages hook, you'll need to install the CRAN package first. This can be done from our public repository at repos.openanalytics.eu, or it's also available on CRAN. So first, you'll need to execute the enable install packages hook function, which will allow you then to install packages from a authenticated repository as shown in the previous animation. So RDepot also has an API. This API can be used by CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, which can automatically publish packages to any RDepot repositories using the API. If the Jenkins user has a role of package maintainer, then those will be approved automatically. If there is a review process needed, then the Jenkins user can just submit the package for review, which will allow a package maintainer, for example, to afterwards review the submission and either allow or reject the submission. So the most notable changes in RDepot version 2 are support for binary R packages, which I hinted at before. We also allow now to add notes to package uploads. This can be handy for example, changes in the new version of your package or feedback to the maintainer. And we also completely redesigned the UI. So support for binary R packages. So we allow, during the upload process, to select that this is a binary package. So then additional options appear. So the R version, the architecture, and the distribution. Now these are bare bone binary files. So any system dependencies need to be installed before a package can be loaded successfully, of course. Then we also allow adding notes to package uploads. So for example, here you can see that we have some release notes in the changes field of the version that we are uploading here. And then finally, the redesigned UI. So the package details page is a great example of this new UI, and we are still improving on that design. Finally, I'll also talk a bit about new features in version 2.7. So in that version, we will support binary Python packages. Also, we'll have examples for GitHub and GitLab actions for publishing packages into RDepot. And we'll also allow the UI to be themed using configuration parameters. I'd like to thank you for your attention. You can find our documentation and release notes at our website, rdepot.io. Support is available at rdepot.io/support, and the code can be found, for example, on GitHub at openanalytics/rdepot. Now let's move to the Q&A.